For years, Dynasty Warriors remained unmatched in the hack-and-slash genre. Yet, Omega Force decided one day to make another series based around Sengoku period Japan. They called this Samurai Warriors, and it was released on the PlayStation 2 in 2004. This game is 19 years old now. Yes, you heard me right. I remember when we were just celebrating the 10th anniversary of Samurai Warriors with Samurai Warriors 4, which turned out to be awful. Check out my review on that later. To think the PS4 is 10 years old now, and Samurai Warriors, as a whole, is closing in on 2 decades of age. God, I'm getting old. Anyways, enough ranting about aging, for now. Let's get into the game, and see what it has to offer, and if it still holds up after nearly 20 years.
Accursed shadow! Perish.
Musou mode this time around has a stage select, so you can go back and replay anything from before. This makes free mode more redundant. Also, if you meet the requirements, you can unlock alternative battles, so you can get a different non-historical set of battles or battle. The mode is incredibly short. Some have only 4 or 5 stages max. Once you beat a character's Musou mode, you can unlock new characters to play with. Sometimes you need to complete several or all to get more. You start with only 6 and can get 15 total. It's nice to see everyone get a Musou mode, but in turn you get repeat stages and cutscenes. There's also not much uniqueness in turn because of this. Also, the endings are not that satisfying. The game overall feels very short, abrupt, and unfinished. Like they just rushed this out the door. Especially given the 6 unique officers in the game that are unplayable.
No, I cannot. If I die now, your deaths would have no meaning. Lord Nobunaga, Ranmaru, I finally understand what it means to believe.
Here you can play anyone you want and play any unlocked stages as said character. You can also swap out their model with one you unlocked for beating their Musou mode. Otherwise, there's nothing special here, especially since you can select any stage to replay Musou mode, making free mode less desirable. Basically, this mode is just for those who want to play a certain stage as a certain officer, nothing more.
Defeat. I have no regrets.
So stupid. Whoop! Well, I had my fun, so I can't complain.
There, I see them.
And it looks like there's much more fun on the way. Come on, get up! Hi-ya! Whoop! Hi-yo! Whee!
What the fuck?
This being the first game, it features a small cast of characters. You get 15 to play with once you beat everyone's Musou mode to get them. There are an additional 6 unique officers that are unplayable, but will be in Xtreme Legends onward. You get by default Yukimura Sanada, Mitsuhide Akechi, Oichi, Kenshin Uesugi, Hanzo Hattori, and Magoichi Sakai. You could then unlock Rimaru, No, Masamune Date, Shingen, Kunoichi Okuni, Ishikawa, Nobunaga, and Keiji. Then there are the unique officers that are unplayable. Those are Ieyasu Tokugawa, Hideyoshi Hashiba, Nagamasa Azai, Yoshimoto Imagawa, Kenyo Hanganji, and Dosun Saito. Overall, not a bad roster. Does suck you gotta beat every single Musou mode for everyone to get most through out the game, but the game is shorter than the Dynasty Warriors counterparts, so there's a pro and time needed to get stuff. Honestly prefer when they just include cheats to unlock everything right away, so I can just play the game without being punished for not having beaten the game the moment I start the game.
Maro は家康が主ぞ。マロに歯向かい、何を望む？
主はただ一人。望むはその主が天が。
The game is more fluid and offers more combos than Dynasty Warriors at this point. You can get into deadlocks with enemies, and if you win, you get a quick attack to damage them. You can use ninja shortcuts if you play as one, such as Hanzo. The horse is less clunky, and kills by the horse do count towards your KOs. Plus, the bow is now infinite ammo, but the enemies will attempt to dodge your attacks. The enemy AI is also pretty aggressive, making it harder to push into their forces and kill the commander. Objectives appear on the battlefield, and a lot of battles are very scripted, where you must complete a set of goals in a certain order and time to win. I'm not a huge fan of this, and prefer Dynasty Warriors 2 and 3 more open-ended battles, which we would lose with Dynasty Warriors 5 and Samurai Warriors Onward. Once you complete a stage, your performance determines your stat gain, leveling up, bodyguards, and of course the points you earn to unlock stuff in the skill tree. Honestly, just prefer the more straightforward you level up and get stuff. No need for a tacky RPG skill tree that just holds you back and gives you a false sense of progression. If I gain a level, just give me a new combo moveset or increase my attack / speed. Bodyguards have been downgraded compared to Dynasty Warriors 4. This means you cannot edit them, and they only come in 4 instead of 2, and maximum 8 once leveled up. But you can choose from a small selection of different classes, so if you want to have Shinobi follow you or generic swordsman, you can. You can also use a dodge roll to avoid attacks and traps. Especially in castles, you will encounter many different traps, from fake floors and spiked walls. This roll is needed because even fast characters can still fall to them if not careful. The movement is actually pretty good, even with the more tankish characters.
What?
No. Ow!
A flood attack has taken out the advanced force! Nicely played, Yukimura.
This shit is insane.
Sadly, compared to Dynasty Warriors 4 edit mode, the custom officer mode in this game falls completely flat. You can only choose one of 3 weapons and a pre-made model. You cannot customize them in any way outside of your name, which has to be short. Then you must complete a few hours worth of training trials and pass them all to use your custom officer in free mode. Otherwise, if you don't complete everything within a single playthrough, as there is no saving, you lose all progress and must start all over. The weapons are sword, spear, and naginata, all of which are clunky and have short movesets, making the combat massively repetitive. Not to mention you barely hit more than a few enemies at once with the sword, making the basic weapon highly repetitive. There's just nothing positive about this tacked on flawed mode. What a waste of time and resources.
Oh. Faith in the people has brought me this far. Lord Nobunaga. I will create.
So Mitsuhide rises for the good of the people.
The survival mode was the beginning of a new concept exclusive to Samurai Warriors, one of which I never liked, and in Samurai Warriors 1, it truly feels tacked on and pointless. You just run around fighting small groups of enemies within a time limit, the end. Not fun. At least with Samurai Warriors 5, they gave us a superior mode that just needed more to it called Citadel mode. There's nothing special about survival mode. In fact, there's only one reason to play it in any game. That's in Samurai Warriors 2, to unlock Ranmaru, who is also glitched and giving his fans a middle finger from the developers. How dumb.
Farewell, Lord Mitsuhide.
Ranmaru!
Lord Nobu.
English dub. This is a clear issue with Japanese games, even to this day. Just look at Like a Dragon Gaiden and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Enough said. But that said aside, this game uses many voices from previous Dynasty Warriors games. In turn, that means you'll hear Tao Tao as Nobunaga, which I kind of agree with given their similarities. They even acknowledged that in the Orochi games. But still, the English dub is a mixed bag, as certain characters sound off, let alone the voices do not fit at all. For example, Mitsuhide doesn't have the right voice till the second game. Ranmaru is probably one of the better voices, alongside Hanzo. Yet, you got Ieyasu Tokugawa with a bad miscasting till the second game. Here, he sounds so immature and bratty. Meanwhile, in the second game, he sounds more refined, like he's supposed to be portrayed. Sadly, no Steve Bloom as anyone in game for what I could find.
Why?
Thankfully though, this is one of the few games in the series of Warriors titles that lets you switch the English dub for the Japanese voices. This way, you could tolerate the game better. Cause honestly, if I have to hear Hideyoshi one more time, I'll fucking snap.
Behold the castle that was built in one day. What genius could have done this, you say? It's the Hideyoshi we praise. But who built the castle in just one day? Whee! It's Hideyoshi we praise. He built the castle in just one day.
Ranmaru, you once said Lord Nobunaga would one day rule this land. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors is okay. It's playable, but nothing great, and I highly recommend you emulate it to get rid of the blurry, pixelated graphics. I honestly couldn't stand the game because of it, so I maxed it out at 4K and enabled AA to make the game less repulsive. But in turn, there's graphical glitches. Yet I'll take those over the low resolution, blurry, pixelated visuals any day. This makes the game more playable. As for if the gameplay is great as it once was, I'd say kind of. The newer games of the series made everything more fast-paced and added more combos with more fluid combat. Overall, Samurai Warriors is borderline great, and I do recommend it. That's it for this video. See y'all later. Samurai Warriors 1 hasn't aged too well. While I did give it some praise, it was flawed. But then, there was the Xtreme Legends expansion I also had to tackle. I never played this till now, and I'm glad I didn't waste any money on this. Samurai Warriors 1 Xtreme Legends just rehashes the base game for a full price title. Back in the day, with only 4 playable characters. Jesus H. Christ, talk about dog shit. In fact, just like Dynasty Warriors 3 Xtreme Legends, this game offers nothing and expects you to mindlessly praise it like a Twitter thought demanding yes queen, slay it queen only replies. So this review will be short. Let's get this over with, because I just want to be done with this game.
Hey, why don't you admit you're not doing this for peace? Huh? You're afraid. You don't want to lose your chance for glory.
No.
You like the chaos. You enjoy the fighting. You love it.
No! I want glory. I like to fight, yet I'll fulfill my duties.
To start, the game is all about 4 new characters only. Except they're not new, as they existed in the base game as unique, unplayable NPCs. The 4 you can now, and only now, play as are Hideyoshi, the gay guy, Japan Lubu, named after a car, and Ina, the car's daughter. Yep, that's it. The Musou mode is only for them. In fact, the battles themselves are from the base game, just rehashed to appear new as you play as these characters during those battles. So if you ever wanted to kill Saito as Hideyoshi and build the stupid castle in just one day, now you can. That's it. That's literally it. I didn't even bother with 2 of these characters because one is the gay guy no one likes and the other is a fucking car. He just plays the same battles as his beau daughter Ina. Why even bother at that point? Because of Megaforce? That's why. Ina's entire Musou mode is composed of running away and rescuing people and escorting people all over the map. Also, you must do all of these at once and fast as possible or game over. Yeah, they tacked on multiple game over objectives at once on every single battle with Ina and Honda Civic. What god shit tier awful design. Honestly, I have nothing positive to say about this shit game.
No problems at all.
That's impossible. It'll never work.
That makes it all the more interesting. To make the impossible possible.
Are you insane?
Combat is still the same, with nothing improved. There's no new weapons or items or bodyguard features. You get only 4 new characters who already appeared in the base game as unique NPCs. They just rehash every battle from the base game as new stages. In fact, Ina's entire Musou mode is just running. Honda is the same. What is the appeal again? Alright, there isn't any. There's no new modes, and they removed custom officer mode and challenge mode, only keeping in versus and survival alongside free and Musou. At least you can play all the other base game officers in free mode, but at that point, what's the point of them existing? You can only play the Extreme Legends stages in this game. There's no merger like Dynasty Warriors 3 Legends, Extreme Legends, where the base game was still playable within that game.
Ina, why do you fight?
At the end of the day, it's clear that Samurai Warriors 1 Extreme Legends was a half-assed job. They just needed to make a quick buck to meet a quota. There's no value here at all. In fact, I can't believe it, but yes, this game is worse than Dynasty Warriors 3 Extreme Legends. That's talent right there. To make something far, far worse. Only a Megaforce, folks. I do not recommend this game, and give it a borderline mediocre score. That's it for this video. I need some vodka.
One, 2, 3.
My lord, it has come much closer.
It draws near. The roar of the lion.
finishing the first game and its Xtreme Legends, I didn't want to touch the series again for a while, but I decided to get it over with. I might as well finish the entire series since I only have about 4 more games to cover. Well, today we're looking at one of the games I grew up playing, that being Samurai Warriors 2 for the PlayStation 2. However, I grew up with the Xbox 360 version and remember completing almost everything before stopping. Well, since the game is 17 years old this year, let's see if it has aged well in any way. Time to try out another game from childhood and find out if it's truly any good. The story mode focuses on the rise of Nobunaga Oda and ends at the Battle of Sekigahara, which historians consider the most important battle and the beginning of the Tokugawa shogunate rule. Every single character in the game gets a Musou mode of some caliber, while certain characters get more love for obvious reasons like Ieyasu, Nobunaga, and Mitsuhide. There are those who get only a few like Koichi. Then there's 2 that get no Musou mode, being Ranmaru Mori and Akuni, both of which are locked and Ranmaru is glitched, with 24 officers being playable via Musou mode total. The gameplay revolves around the usual protect your commander / main camp and take out the enemy commander, but there's a ton of pop-up missions that appear that can lead to different outcomes, and early on you cannot just complete everything with ease. You need to level up your character and unlock new skills and get a horse to easily complete everything within a certain time, and to avoid a game over. Like Mitsuhide needs to escort Nobunaga in his first mission, but there's other stuff happening you could help in, but that would lead to Nobunaga's death. Once leveled up, you can easily take on these tasks, adding replay value. Plus, this is a way to earn bonuses like new skills, mounts, bodyguards, and weapons, and also to boost your allies' morale. There's also roughly 21 unique stages in the game. Another thing that's been changed from the first game is the removal of branching story paths. Now you just have a straightforward Musou mode. In turn, you can unlock a single dream mode stage after completing a character's Musou mode. So after completing Mitsuhide Akechi's Musou, I got his dream stage to play. You can get one for every 24 characters, giving you 24 more stages to play.
Mitsuhide, finally I can see the rage in your eyes that I have always wanted of you.
I cannot do this. If I were to kill you, then I could seize the land and make it my own. But that isn't what I want. I want to see this land as only you can make it. I've been foolish, blind to my own weakness.
Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide, your Japan is one that I would have liked to have seen.
Huh?
Live on, Mitsuhide.
Free mode is the same old, and I don't see the appeal, unless you're playing as Rimuru or Akuni, as this is the only way to play as them once you figure out how to unlock them. But even then, you can replay any stage you already completed as the character from their respective story mode. I guess if you just want to play as a certain character and play a certain battle, maybe one they never existed in, then bone apple teeth. I have no reason to use this mode. Everyone from the first game in Xtreme Legends returns with several new characters including Nene, Ieyasu Tokugawa, Nagamasa Azai, Musashi Miyamoto, Yoshihiro Shimazu, Kotaro Fuma, Kanesugu Nao, Sakanshima, Mitsunori Ishida, and Jinichio Tachibana. You also have two unique NPCs being Katsui Shibata and Kojiro Sasaki. The only newcomers I like are Ieyasu, Jinichio, and Kotaro. The other ones, I'm fine with them there, but I could live without them. Every one of them does get a Musou mode. The only two that get no Musou mode are Rimuru and Okuni, who are hidden.
So this is a land without war. There is no struggle now. I made sure of that. What was I thinking?
My dream is to bring an end to this state of constant war. I sought a lord capable of doing so, and found him in Lord Nobunaga. I serve him because he can end the suffering that Japan's people currently endure. I would serve anyone who could. Wait. That's it. I can realize my own dream. With my own hands, I can bring an end to this chaos. The enemy is at Honnoji! Nobunaga.
The combat remains almost identical to the first game, however it is more fluid and smooth here and more enjoyable to use. One thing that was removed, however, is the bow. They removed it in favor of a new attack option where you press and hold R1 and use square or triangle to attack. I honestly don't miss it, but it was nice to have, especially in tight situations where you were struggling for dear life. It did come in handy. Another change, however, is the removal of multiple bodyguards and items. That's right, no more items to boost your stats like speed, Musou gauge, attack, etc. Now it's replaced with skills you gain through battles and the shop. As for bodyguards, you cannot create a unit anymore like in the first game. Now it's just random goons you hire, with only one being allowed to follow you at a time. So you can get a monk, ninja, sumo, archer, musket, spear, and sword bodyguard, but only one can follow you into battle, akin to Dynasty Warriors 5 bodyguard system. They also do not get skills or items this time around. I did enjoy putting Chris Gildart, Asmongold, Some Ordinary Gamers, and Moist Critical into the first game as bodyguards and watch them slaughter people with me. Sucks it was removed, but I'm not really missing it. The bodyguard is more useless now and is just there for the sake of being there.
Then come, Mitsuhide.
I never liked survival mode and it comes back, but this time there's no audio from anyone speaking. Also, it's just random objectives as you progress to every floor. This mode is needed though if you want to unlock Rimuru Mori. Of course I do, but damn, is this mode just so slow and boring. Also, a fatal flaw in the design is, you cannot play any other mode as your survival mode save is the only one allowed at a time. If you play any other mode, your survival progress will be deleted and you must start all over again. How dumb. Glad this was removed in Samurai Warriors 5. Citadel mode is far superior in every way. There's a new mode instead of versus, challenge, and custom officer mode, and that is some stupid Mario Party-like minigame where you wander a board and use gold to buy property. I guess it's more in line with Monopoly at that point, but damn is it boring. I quit after about 2 minutes. It's that dreadfully droll. Let's move on to other stuff, cause I'm glad they never brought this crap mode back in later games. Now if only they got rid of survival mode too. There are 3 major glitches in this game that were never fixed. This being Nene's transformation bug, where she keeps floating up in the air after turning into Hanzo or Kotaro, and you must use a jump charge attack to come back down. Another glitch is the mission goal of killing 100 units at Odawara Castle, where there is a chance of it never completing no matter what you do, and you will fail the objective. The last glitch is probably the most game breaking, and that's playing as Rimaro Mori at Hanoji will lead to a game over randomly sometimes if you rescue Nobunaga and escort him out of the area. Another feature to this game is the shop. You can buy new skills and upgrades here for the skills. You can also buy horses and bodyguards as well, and there's occasionally sales on all of these, so you can get them at a discount. Then you can upgrade your weapon to get a new ability slotted into them if you have the space. Though it is random and not fun because of it, so you could end up getting a speed boost, or a luck boost, a dexterity boost, an attack boost, you name it, to your weapon, and not what you exactly wanted instead. The only other stuff this game has to offer is a vault to view everything. It's just a gallery for anything you've unlocked, such as movies, officers, weapons, horses, bodyguards, you name it. Let's go ahead and wrap up this video.
Nobunaga, you look well.
Lord Nagamasa has chosen the shame of surrender rather than sacrifice his wife and men.
And what does that leave you with now? Honor? Or perhaps love? If you wish to kill me, then do it.
I'm sorry, Lord Mitsuhide.
Mitsuhide.
Huh?
What do you see in Nagamasa's death?
The pride of a warrior.
The only reason that Nagamasa participated in this battle was to sacrifice himself for honor. And so I allowed him to. That was his desire. However, for him to take his own life, what do you desire of me, warrior?
That is simple. To see you as ruler of Japan, and to see you put an end to these wars.
Watch and you'll see.
At the end of the day, I'm proud to say this game has aged quite well for being 17 years old, from its improved combat to the tolerable English dub and better storytelling. Samurai Warriors 2 was worth your time as it was mine. I give it a thumbs up on the recommendation and an easy great score. I'm looking forward to covering the last of the Samurai Warriors series in the future. All I have left is Samurai Warriors 2 Empires, 2 Xtreme Legends, and then finally, Samurai Warriors 3. Till then, this is all for this video. See you all later.
Look, Lord Nobunaga, this shall be the land that I desired. One without war, where all people can live in peace. It is only missing one thing. Only you, my lord.
Live on, Mitsuhide.
After reviewing Samurai Warriors 2, I felt it was time to get into its 2 expansions. We'll cover them in order of release. So Empires is first, though usually Xtreme Legends is first, and Empires comes out last to build upon whatever Xtreme Legends added to the base game. This is the only time Empires came out first for any Warriors game over Xtreme Legends. So we do miss out on some gameplay enhancements and new characters. Samurai Warriors 2 Empires is the first Empires entry for Samurai Warriors. It builds off of Samurai Warriors 2 and has many similarities to Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires, though some things are different and some are for the worse. We'll get into them later. First off, let's talk Empire mode.
The best defense is a strong offense. By aiming high, we will survive the chaos. I will bring down the curtain on this war.
In Empire mode, you can select from various scenarios that focus on selected territories and factions in different times, or select the divided land option to have a customized experience. Here you can select the factions and what territories they own, and then select which one you want to play as. The usual stuff is here from DW5E, so you can consult your officers for assistance on how to run your kingdom or manually choose options. You have alliances, trade, development of your territory, recruiting troops and officers, and of course, hiring unique troops and using tactics to cause chaos in other lands. One thing that stands out from DW5E is the introduction of formations. With them, you can give your army a time-limited bonus like defense or speed if you have a formation that outdoes the enemy formation, akin to rock, paper, scissors. If your formation is better, you gain your bonus. If the enemy formation is better, they get their bonus and you lose yours. This can be a deal breaker if not careful, so the enemy could be running around with high speed, taking over your bases and make camp within minutes while you struggle to keep up, or they can get increased defense or attack. This keeps you on the edge and in turn leads to more challenging battles. I enjoy this concept greatly. Outside of this, however, the game is mostly the same as DW5E, with not much improved. They didn't even add cutscenes or interactions with officers, it's just more of the same, which sucks cause you'd expect improvements with sequels, not copy and pasted laziness, unless your name is Call of Duty.
A kind of peace has returned to the land. Now we must work to make that peace permanent.
Now to create a nation worthy of your name.
The free mode is back and is just tacked on here. There's nothing special about it, and it's just here if you want a quick fix and don't want to play for long. I'd rather have it here than not for those who want it. Honestly, in Empires it makes more sense that it exists. Here you can't just replay exact battles, unlike in the base games. Next up, let's talk the worst character customization compared to DW5E. This is on par with DW4E. You cannot change the appearance, only select a pre-made model Change their color, name, voice, symbol, Musuo symbols, and moveset. That's it. But unlike DW5E, there's more color options here, so there's one positive. But a con compared to DW5E again is movesets are gender locked, so no macho man running around as Oichi or femme fatale as Honda Civic. You can only save about 15 officers, so you can save a few more than DW5E, but with less customization, it doesn't matter much in the end. Honestly, I hate the officer edit mode in this game. It's just lazy and a downgrade.
Ah, Mitsuhide! A quick draw, I hear. Let's see if you're quick enough to beat two swords.
My sword was forged to shatter hearts and topple empires. If you think you can stop me, then show me what you're made of.
A few other things worth mentioning before the score. We'll start with how even though there's hardly any cutscenes and even less effort put into them compared to even DW5E, officers can have unique conversations before battle depending on who's involved. I guess this is fine, but it doesn't really add much to an already ghost town of a game. The English dub was clearly changed, with some voice actors being replaced akin to Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires. Not a fan of this, it's quite jarring. They did this again in the Xtreme Legends expansion. Tech McCoy really hates us English speakers. The combat is the same, with no improvements or additions from the base game. The bodyguard is removed, obviously, and instead, much like DW5E, you get a small group of soldiers to follow you around. You can still give orders of charge, defense, follow you, or decide for themselves. There's no ending cinematic, unlike in Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires, so even unique officers get no love this time around. And that's about it. Let's get to the score. There wasn't much to talk about in this game.
Come on, soldiers! Push forward!
You're so strong.
We have defeated an officer.
At the end of the day, I do recommend Samurai Warriors 2 Empires, even though it's painfully average and nothing special. There's a lack of character and improvement compared to Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires, and it just feels lazy, but it's not that bad of a game, and you should give it a try, whether it's the PlayStation 2 version or even the Xbox 360 version. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. After taking a break from Samurai Warriors, I decided it was time to finish the classic era of Warriors games on the PlayStation 2. With the base game and the Empire's expansion covered, it's time to cover Samurai Warriors 2 Xtreme Legends. Which surprised me after the abysmal Dynasty Warriors 3, 4, 5, and 8 Xtreme Legends, as well as Samurai Warriors 1 Xtreme Legends. This one just had so much more to it, with decent characters, improvements to combat, and improved storytelling. It just lacks a bit of features, but it's an Xtreme Legends expansion. I guess it's only natural that it wouldn't come with that much in way of content and features.
Poor things.
The game features 6 new characters, though one is from the first game's Xtreme Legends, that being Yoshimoto Imagawa, who was a unique NPC in the first game before becoming playable in the Xtreme Legends expansion for Samurai Warriors 1.
It's just not the same on my own.
He's just finally playable again come the second expansion for Samurai Warriors 2. Since Xtreme Legends came out after Empires, which wasn't the norm at the time, meaning people missed out on these characters and the improvements Xtreme Legends came with. But as for his character, I never liked him, till the 5th game, where they made him not a joke character anymore.
It will be Kamari time!
He's very slow and weak. His Musuo isn't good either. I honestly don't like playing as him at all in this game. If I could, I would choose to scrap him in favor of any future Xtreme Legends newcomer instead. Yoshimoto is just bad.
Actually, a few other names spring to mind.
As for the other characters, we have Toshiie Maeda, who's basically a Sun Tse and Zhao Yun mixed together. He fights with a sword and during combos can switch to 2 halberds, making him more unique compared to the rest of the warriors. He's young, dim-witted, loyal, hot-headed, and eager to please whoever he serves. He's not that bad to play as, but his Masuo can be a burden, as it's got a short range and can easily knock enemies away, so you'll miss more than you would actually land any hits. Also, I noticed after playing the other characters, it's clear Toshiie was the poster boy of this game since he's on the cover, and as such, he got the most love out of every character. He has the most cutscenes and everything. And that's kinda sad. Every character should equally get represented. If you're going to introduce new characters and make them have their own stories, you gotta also give them more love too.
What are you talking about?
Gracia was a mistake. Like most of the female characters throughout the Warriors games, she sucks. She's weak, slow, and her attacks are awful. She can barely hit a single person, especially for Musuo attack. I stopped playing as her after the first level, just because she was that awful. She's young, rebellious, obnoxious, nails on a chalkboard voice, and part of the plot is she has a crush on Magoichi Sakai.
Ew.
What?
Motochika Chosokabe, or however you pronounce his name.
No one will forget my name.
Is a shamisen player warrior. He's actually not that bad of a character. At first I thought of him as a stupid joke character, because every Warriors game has to have them, like Oichi, Shuju, Yoshimoto Imagawa, and Tao Ren for examples. Characters that look dumb and play awful. He's not that bad combat-wise, but it takes some getting used to his style. It's very close range and not effective against much. He's weak early on too, and his Musuo has the problem of hit the enemy once, they fly away, so you miss the rest issue, just like Toshiie.
Play on, Motochika.
Katsuie, or however you pronounce his name.
Katsuie!
Is just another generic, stubborn old man character. He's slow, tankish, and does good damage in turn at the least. His Musuo isn't that bad, but it causes you to fly around much like Nobunaga and Mitsuhide. I don't like that style, but I also don't like it when you're stationary either. Musuo attacks were always a mixed bag with Samurai Warriors characters till about the 4th game onwards.
Well, this all seems to be going very well.
He's also just a rehash of Toshiie story-wise. You're just playing the same levels with the same cutscenes basically. I just don't see the appeal. Honestly, he should have been cut from the game. We don't need repeat characters, we need new ones. Unique ones.
Hideyoshi told me that I mustn't look away.
Kojiro? Well, he's Kojiro. It's hard to explain his character. Let's just say he's the Jean He of the series. That also is all about the beauty of death, not dance. He's also got the hots for another character that's the only one capable of matching him in combat.
Yeah. I'm the best there is and the best there'll ever be.
Yes. You certainly are strong. You're no victim. No poor innocent. You're not someone I'm compelled to cut down for their own good. I've never met anyone like you. You're the only one who is capable of matching me. The only one worth cutting down. Come on, then. Let's go.
Kojiro plays quite well and his Musuo isn't that bad and has better range than the rest. He's probably one of the better controlling characters overall, and the more I played as him, the more I started to actually like his character. At first, I was like, ugh, what the hell is this? I don't know. Do I really want to play this character? I'm afraid to. But the moment I did, I found him not to be that bad, and his overall desire to be able to find someone who can actually match him in combat and give him a beautiful end was actually pretty good.
You mean that's it? Please. Musashi is the only opponent who can satisfy me. Where are you, Musashi?
But enough about the beautiful release of death. Let's move on to the changes that this game has, such as characters can now level up to 70 instead of 50, bodyguards can now level up to 30, some voice actors were changed for new recorded lines, and there's also a lot of silent dialogue too, meaning it's easy to miss important dialogue during mercenary mode and stuff. If you're not careful, you gotta always be watching out for it. Thankfully, Nobunaga was kept intact. I feel like Samurai Warriors 2 had his best voice actor in the entire series. New characters in Samurai Warriors 2 Empires feature alternate colors, victory poses, and quotes from their story modes.
Katsuie, please, tell me what to do!
The game introduces an orb system to allow for more weapon customization to alter stats when you acquire them. Personal skills can now be bought from the shop and can be individually collected for each character. A fifth weapon can be obtained, like usual for Extreme Legend titles. The base power, however, is the same as the fourth weapons.
Are you listening to me?
The shop returns with the usual skills, weapon upgrades, bodyguards, and mounts. You got the gold, you can pimp out your character early on to be a beast.
Sakon has left the battlefield.
Otherwise, enjoy the grind. All gold is shared between everyone, but the skills and weapon upgrades are not. But at least that means if you beat one story mode, the next one will be easier if you got the gold to stock up on abilities for the next officer playthrough.
Thank you.
Story mode only covers the 6 featured characters and in turn, repeat stages, some with alterations to make them less samey, but still the same in the end. Each character has about 6 stages to play, most starting with the rise of Nobunaga Oda and others at the end of Oda's tyranny. So while it should only take about 5 hours at most to complete story mode, it's decent enough with the cutscenes being great. I like the cinematography, as it's just a night and day difference from Dynasty Warriors and its meh storytelling till the 7th game. The only other mode to come with the game outside of free mode is mercenary mode, where you can play as any character from Samurai Warriors 2. Your goal is just to fight battles, earn gems, hire bodyguards, upgrade your officer, and take on more and more challenging fights. It's nothing special, and after a few rounds I just quit. I don't see the appeal of this mode. It's just like Destiny mode and Extreme mode from Dynasty Warriors 5 Extreme Legends. It's just a grindy challenge mode. Thankfully though, you don't have to learn majority of your movesets, unlike Destiny mode from DW5XL. That was just stupid.
Please, tell me what to do!
Not much else to talk about other than the AI is aggressive and I like that. It was surprising coming from other Warriors games that feature more docile AI, aka they fired the AI programmer. I did struggle a bit here and there, but it wasn't unfair, just enjoyable fun challenge.
I can't just...
Don't look away, Toshie.
The music is great as per usual. Samurai Warriors 2 just has a great soundtrack that hasn't been topped by any other Samurai Warriors game to date.
We have to face it. And...
But yeah, that's about it. It's a fine little expansion, a borderline great one at that. Let's get this video over with. I don't like making things this long, but sometimes there's just a lot to talk about.
Our Lord has made his wishes clear.
At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors 2 Extreme Legends does offer a lot more than Dynasty Warriors Extreme Legend counterparts. However, it does also come with not that much content, like every Extreme Legends expansion. But after playing the abysmal DW3, W5, and SW1 Extreme Legends, this is a markable improvement. Better storytelling by far, since Dynasty Warriors 5 Extreme Legends didn't offer anything real impactful, just AI generated cutscenes that felt so artificial and awful. So it's easy to recommend Samurai Warriors 2 Extreme Legends. It's a borderline great game that if it only came with more modes, it could have been even better. But it is what it is. Some of the new characters are boring, and others are decent. The combat is still enjoyable, and the AI is aggressive. But the speed at which you move, and how some characters' movesets can only attack a small amount at a time, and at a short range, can hold the game back a bit, making combat feel a little sluggish. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
Then I will go. But they will remember my name.
Well, it's time to finally cover Samurai Warriors 3, a Nintendo Wii exclusive that was infamous back in the day, mostly because the Nintendo Wii sucked, but also because of how clunky, sluggish, slow, piss-poor performance and pixelated everything was and still is. Samurai Warriors 3 has been played by many, but for the few that have, all say the same thing. It's not good and should have been on PlayStation 3 instead. PlayStation, after all, is the home of Warriors games. It's where it all started back on the PS1.
Sorry I dragged you into this.
No matter. We will simply break in again.
So anyways, might as well try and get through this, cause after only completing 3 character story modes, I didn't want to play anymore. The game sucks. And there's many factors as to why, which I'll break down inside the review. So let's get this video over with and talk about why Samurai Warriors 3 wasn't worth my time and it's not yours.
Still no manners though.
Every game usually introduces a few new characters. Samurai Warriors 3 does just that. Only a few, and most of them suck. From what little time I've spent around them, I could care less for every one of them outside of Hanbai and Kai. The other newcomers are, we have Sunjian at home, generic samurai guy, generic Gen Alpha strategist, some random anime European knight looking douche, Kanbai, and generic anime protagonist with a scythe.
You would not understand.
The combat remains mostly unchanged from the first 2 games, except it's more clunky, sluggish, and boring. Even the fast-moving characters like Hanzo move so slow and attack like a Resident Evil 1 knife.
Thank you. It was but a momentary weakness, and you have given me renewed strength. Forward!
The only time it's fun is when you use your Musuo attack.
I shall accept your challenge.
My path is clear. My death is immaterial. All that matters is my lord's safety.
Outside that, the horse sucks, but at least we can call it finally. A small quality of life feature that makes a difference. And there's no bow this time, so that's good. Too bad they couldn't use those resources to make the horse less tankish and slow though.
Bullshit!
The game is literally Samurai Warriors 2, but worse in every way imaginable. I get the Wii was a piece of shit, but come on, even with a normal controller plugged in, you can't make it play any better? What a stupid design decision. I have nothing else to say. let's just move on and get this review over with.
Fire!
Cavalry are useless against my riders. Take them down.
Story mode has not changed since the last game. For the very few who get a story, that is, it's just about 5 stages of the usual stuff, not much in the way of new or improved. You still go through every iconic battle with Nobunaga and his forces to the incident at Honnoji.
And the commitment to kill my husband.
Mitsuhide does. I am merely here to support him. Begin the assault!
You still have most of Tokugawa's stages being run away because he sucks, and it's a miracle he ever got any power at all and became the one to end all the conflict in the first place.
Forward! Incredible!
Shadows are without form, and thus without weakness.
Talk of the happiness of your people. But you rob happiness from everyone else. You destroy hope. You bring it
I do not expect you to understand.
The only thing that's been improved is all the cutscenes. For the most part, at least, they're really good. In fact, Omega Force should just give up on making games and go make anime in a 3D style instead. I do hate how so many characters have no story mode, especially those who did have one in previous games like Akuni, Rimaru, Katara, No, Toshie, and more. They also removed dream stages in this entry. Another thing I'm not a fan of is just how much more restrictive this game is in comparison to other titles. Dynasty Warriors 5 started this trend where everything is much more objective based. This means you cannot do things how you want. Even though the battlefield is open-ended, your gameplay is not.
You're in rare form today.
The enemy overcame our flood attack with their strength of will. A man's will is not a fragile thing. Brute force cannot break it.
Lord Kanetsuru, I promise you, my will shall never break.
So get used to seeing non-stop pop-ups and having to run all over the place in a predetermined route to do what the game wants and not what you want. See the enemy commander? Nope, not allowed. Get a smack across the face by the developer like a black mom whooping her child for bad mouthing her.
Excuse me, what?
The game is just too restrictive on what you can do at all times. Even if you think a different way to approach an objective makes more sense, you cannot do so. You must follow what Omega Force decided or get a game over. So yeah, get ready for tons and tons of timed objectives where you must cross the entire map and avoid fighting in favor of getting to a certain spot in said time limit.
It's awful.
They did keep free mode, but I could care less. Glad it's here, but the only use it has is to play any of the characters that have no story mode, and also play as any character you want that's unlocked, and play any battle that you want. But you can't choose which side you want to fight for, unlike in Dynasty Warriors 4. This is very restrictive and just deters me from playing it. I mean, yay, whatever. Moving on.
This ought to be enough to grab their attention.
There they are!
A new mode exclusive to this entry, and thank God because it sucks, is Murasama Castle. You can play as anyone you want that you've unlocked and fight hordes of demons in more fantasy-like environments. It's a nice change of pace till you realize just how spongy the enemies are, not to mention all the bullshit like poisonous water, explosive mines you can't really squeeze by. Some enemies can only be hurt with a strong attack, so get used to spamming a single move over and 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 over again.
Incredible! How many of you guys are there?
There's annoying balls of lightning that spam attack you and are just near impossible to avoid.
No shit.
This mode gets old fast when you realize it's just non-stop run to the end of the stages kind of level, especially with a timer. Honestly, just gave up after having to escort useless peasants who died too quickly as the enemies spammed their attacks non-stop.
Time to finish this.
Officer Edit is here in the base game, a thing that occurs in SW4 as well. Here we can create a basic character using some basic presets. The only real depth is controlling our colors using a full RGB system, so go ahead and make a pink ninja or cayenne samurai. I just decided to make myself Charlie Muda and some female characters. By default, there's only 3 weapon choices: the generic sword, spear, and naginata. To get more, we have to unlock the weapons within the dojo. It's okay and more in depth than Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5's character creator. A step in the right direction, ain't gonna lie. Thankfully, Samurai Warriors 4 would greatly improve upon this concept, but here it's just fine. Except you won't be fighting alongside your characters and are only used in select modes, such as free mode, Murasama Castle, and finally, historical mode. So let's talk about that one. Historical mode is all about playing through each unique battle as your own edit characters. That's it, and it's nothing special. I honestly could have cared less for it. You just fight for others and earn a bit of a name for yourself, experience visual novel lazy storytelling with just text and no audio. Why couldn't they get voices for these moments? It's boring when you only have text. What is this, the Commodore 64? We can't have voice acting during cutscenes in the style of visual novels? Lame. Let's just move on to the dojo and be done with this game.
Turn it up! Turn it up!
You can unlock bonuses within the dojo, so long as you have the rice needed and met various other requirements, such as completing a character story mode or reaching level 50 with them. These bonuses are new characters, weapons for edit officers, maxing out stats, and unlocking customization options for unique officers. You can unlock new characters with rice you get from completing battles, and a large bonus for completing a character story. This is a stupid way to give player a sense of illusion progress. Meanwhile, in older games, you just completed a certain character story mode to unlock a new one. Plus, a lot of the characters in here don't have a story mode, hence why they don't cost 100 rice, but instead only 80. Also, they didn't include Kojiro. I'm going to have to deduct points for that one.
Yeah. I'm the best there is and the best there'll ever be.
Yes, you certainly are strong. You're no victim, no poor innocent. You're not someone I'm compelled to cut down for their own good. I've never met anyone like you. You're the only one who is capable of matching me. The only one worth cutting down. Come on, then. Let's go.
The vault features all unlocked characters info and cutscenes, so if you wanted to see certain scenes again, you can. This is only really good for those who want to make videos like what I'm doing. A couple of trivia facts while we're here in the other section of this review. Samurai Warriors 3 was the last game in the series to feature an English dub. Also, this is the first game in the series to lack facial expressions, something you'd see in Samurai Warriors 4 as well with Musuo attacks.
I must say, that was a most impressive victory.
Why aren't your lips moving?
The music is great and was used in this review for a reason. I mean, I usually try to use the game's soundtrack for every review, but sadly not every game has one out there to download like on KH Insider. Let alone, due to copyright problems, I have to avoid certain soundtracks and certain songs within them as well. It's YouTube after all, folks. If it wasn't for the normal controller option, I wouldn't have played this game in the first place. The Nintendo Wii is a garbage console with one of the worst controllers ever made. Most of which are made by Nintendo, the king of fuck-ups. The English dub is a mixed bag, much like Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires, Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires and its expansions, Dynasty Warriors 6 and its expansions, and of course Dynasty Warriors 8 and its expansions. And also Dynasty Warriors 9.
So, how about we give that old man the shock of his life? 5 fools together can overcome anything!
However, there are a few highlights in the dub. It's clear they got some anime dub actors to play several roles. In fact, I'd recognize the narrator from Dynasty Warriors 7 as the narrator. But also, holy crap, listen to Yukimura. You know who that is?
Your pride as a warrior remains intact. There is no need for you to die. Please!
Take care of yourself, Ina.
But most of the voices feel like last-minute castings rather than fitting choices, such as Mitsuhide, who's just a joke. He was best in the first game.
No, I cannot. If I die now, your deaths would have no meaning. Lord Nobunaga, Ranmaru, I finally understand what it means to believe.
They did keep Ranmaru's female voice actor from the second game. Not sure how I feel about that. I mean, he's a feminine male, but not an actual chick. He's still got a dick. At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors 3 is a mediocre game. It is worth playing? Not really. It's literally just the same old with not much in the way of new or improved. you played any of the PlayStation 2 games, then you've played Samurai Warriors 3. It's still a pixelated, jaggy, blurry mess given Nintendo Wii is just a PlayStation 2 with motion-based gimmick controls, where you just mimic that you're jerking off with the Wii remote and bowl a perfect game in Wii Sports Bowling.
How can you laugh at a time like this?
So yeah, it's not a great game, or a good one at that. It's a mediocre title that should be left forgotten in due time. The clunky, sluggish combat and movement, those lackluster amounts of enemies on screen making it pointless to use your Masuo, a plague on Samurai Warriors since day 1 till about the 5th game, where there was enough soldiers on screen for it to not feel wasteful, plus the fact that most of the maps are just ripped from the PlayStation 1 and 2 games and barely anything new. Then there's the mediocre new cast of characters, which almost all but suck.
No man can have everything he wants.
It's still better than Samurai Warriors 4-2 was, but that's about it, so cross off another Warriors game off the list. We only have 2 more Samurai Warriors games to cover before we're done, those being Samurai Warriors 4 Empires and Samurai Warriors 4 DX. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. After years of nothing due to the Wii exclusivity of Samurai Warriors 3, Samurai Warriors finally got a mainline game in the West to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the series, this being Samurai Warriors 4, which was a play-it-safe sequel, yet also massive downgrade in many areas. Then, not even like a year later, they re-released the game with barely anything new and charged $60 for it. Time to finally review Samurai Warriors 4-2, a horrible game and port for the PC.
You ain't lying.
The storytelling saw a massive downgrade, and majority of characters are no longer a part of the Masuo mode. This means you will no longer get to play majority of characters, much like Dynasty Warriors 6. You can only play the majority in free mode, to which there is no point, as free mode is the same exact thing as Masuo mode, with all the pop-up objectives getting in the way and scripting the battle to be extremely linear. The storytelling is the same, and you can only play the one side of the story mission in free mode. Yes, this means free mode is stupid and pointless. Also, you will notice the storytelling is now mostly visual novel laziness with just text. Omega Force continues to put no effort into their titles. There's only 2 pre-rendered cutscenes of actual cinematics, the beginning of the Masuo mode story and the ending, all of which are lazy and anticlimactic, like an Empires cutscene till Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires added meaningful cutscenes. You will also notice the story mode and the rest of the game is in Japanese, making it even harder to understand and keep up with what's happening on screen. Unless you speak Weebnese, you will never notice all the stuff happening, because you're so focused on the fighting, you didn't notice the commander about to die, and then have to start all over again after playing the battle for 10 to 15 minutes. They also removed all the iconic stories of old, no Nobunaga, Mitsuhide, Rimaru, or Hideyoshi stories, or even the edgelord ninja guy. No. Not even Tokugawa Ieyasu gets a story. They instead focus on random selection of about 2 to 3 characters. They, instead of giving you Mitsuhide's story, give you some Majima Goro knockoff piece of shit who loves dynamite that kills Nobunaga. Instead, in the whole shtick of the story is Oda keeps forgiving the Majima Wish.com edition, which drives him even more insane. How stupid.
Ass!
The characters had small design alterations, but look basically the same as they always have. There's 12 new characters and one with 4-2. They're all boring and nothing special. Plus, most of them are not even in Musou mode and only free mode, so there's no reason to talk about them. Some characters were downgraded to near generics or had their personalities butchered. For example, Mitsuhide rarely ever talks and is only there to be there because he's supposed to be there, part of Nobunaga's entire clan. Nobunaga himself was downgraded into a generic clown character who just continuously laughs at every little thing. Yeah, this game sucks ass.
No shit.
The combat was made slightly more clunky. This is mostly because of the bad PC port. You have backwards controls, and the controller buttons do not appear in the game. Instead, it's a random selection of in-game icons. You must memorize what each icon means. What does the sword icon mean? What does the character running mean? What does the circle icon mean? You name it. You also cannot control the camera like normal. This means you must use the triggers, or L2/R2 for the PlayStation controller users, to move the camera left and right. You cannot remap these, by the way. In fact, majority of controls are glued to the keyboard. So you will use the controller to play, but need the keyboard to skip cutscenes, press start, pause the game, switch characters, retreat, you name it.
It's awful.
And for some reason, they made the X button accept and the Y button cancel. Or for PlayStation controllers, it would be square accept and triangle cancel. You can switch characters now, which is a tacky gimmick that barely matters and feels tacked on so badly. Honestly, I forget that it's there half the time, since you never really need to switch between the officers unless you're on a harder difficulty. At that point, however, the game goes from being a Warriors game to a freaking babysitter simulator. What is this, Resident Evil 4 or 5? Bullshit. Outside of this, the game is basically the same old, just with no ninja shortcuts and stuff like that brought in by the second game. You'll never have anything else to do besides moving forward in a linear level design and complete a series of objectives. Fail? Then it's game over. The padding and linearity ruins the Warriors experience. There's no reason for this stuff. Not to mention the non-stop pop-ups telling you the objective, because having the mini-map tell you where to go and what to do in the older games was somehow worse than pausing the game with pop-ups that ruin the flow of the game and in turn get in the way of your Musou attacks. Lame.
What the hell is that?
Survival mode was downgraded and is just a straightforward kill everything on every floor and you're entirely alone. There's nothing to it this time, and the darkness makes it hard to see. Especially in cutscenes, you'll notice the graphical issues with the darkness, like a faint circle appearing on the screen at all times, and the darker areas being scrambled and looking awful, so the edges look low resolution and blurry. Another downgrade is the free mode having no reason to exist. There's no extra modes like challenge mode, gauntlet mode, the board game from Samurai Warriors 2, you name it. You just have story, pointless free mode, and survival, which is so forgettable, I'm not even going to cover it. There's a character creator, but there's no reason for it, as the editor is extremely lackluster, basic, and you cannot create realistic looking people. This means if you want to make Charlie and Muda from Moist Critical and Some Ordinary Gamers, you can't. There's a lack of facial hair, and the face sculpting is minimal at best. Plus, the game loves to crash when you're making a custom officer. Great PC port, guys. No, really. 10 out of 10.
That's the only 10 this movie's getting.
The PC port in of itself is awful. The buttons are almost entirely on the keyboard. You can't use the mouse. There's no icons for controllers. The game loves to crash randomly. There's tons of frame drops, slowdowns, lag, and pop-in. Also, it's the PlayStation 3 version and not the PlayStation 4 version they brought over. They also didn't bundle in the DLC with the PC port and are still charging $50 for the game, let alone $120 for the DLC. Now this is in USD money. God only knows how bad it is for the poor bastards in Australia.
Do I look like a happy camper to you? Didn't think so.
At the end of the day, I do not recommend this piece of shit game. It's clearly just another half-assed entry of the Warriors games by Omega Force. They clearly made this because they needed something for the anniversary. And we all know most of the time, when it comes to anniversary game releases, they tend to be dog shit, like Sonic 06. So save your money, don't even bother getting this game for free via the 7 Seas, it's not worth the bandwidth. The Samurai Warrior games have always had it rough. This is nothing different. Samurai Warriors 4-2 left me wanting nothing more to do than shove a porcupine up my ass while singing Rebecca Black's Friday in a tutu just to find some joy in life and see if I still feel pain after this depressing experience.
Boy, I'm a little hard right now, I ain't gonna lie.
With only a few more Samurai Warriors games to cover, it's time to get back into them with Samurai Warriors Spirit of Sanada, a game I thought I was going to hate, especially because online, no one seemed to like this one. So I went in with a closed mind, but was immediately punched in the gut. After all the air left my lungs, I was stunned. Looking at the game, only 10 minutes in, and I loved it. This is one of the best Modern Warriors games by far. In fact, it has elements that Dynasty Warriors 9 would borrow from and fail miserably at, on top of being, well, Dynasty Warriors 9. This game is an Xtreme Legends style expansion, but it is its own thing in turn too. There's no importing data from Samurai Warriors 4 or 4-2. It's also all about the Sanada clan, with more historical accuracy, several new characters, and tons of new ideas that somehow worked, and I wish we would see them again in later Warriors titles. So let's get this intro over with and talk about Samurai Warriors Spirit of Sanada already, cause man, is there a lot of stuff to talk about. While I won't go too far into spoiler territory given its new content, characters, and plot, I will cover a small portion of the story nonetheless, which is what we will start out with. The game is all about the Sanada clan with a more historical accurate tale. So instead of playing as the Sanada brothers right away, they're not even born yet till after a few battles. Then over time, they grow up, while you guys play as their father for the first several major story missions. In turn, there's a lot more to the Sanada now, with several generic officers playing family members and important officers. However, these officers look like something made in the Empire's games. Honestly, it's quite jarring to see a quality dip in the character models. Plus, the visual novel storytelling returns, and I hate it. It's such a downgrade from the cinematics of past games. Just make cinematics, quit courting corners, Omega Farce. Fuck. As time goes on, characters die and grow up, eventually controlling the Sanada brothers as they rise up to take over for their father and be proud of the Sanada name. The rest of the story, I'll leave to you. The game introduces 6 new characters to the series. Chacha, the daughter of Oichi and Nagamasa, Hidetada Tokugawa, the son of Ieyasu, Katsuyori Takeda, the son of Shingen Takeda, Sasuke, a student ninja under Hanzo, Muramatsu, the sister of Yukimura and Nobuyuki, who's not even playable. Then finally, Masayuki Sanada, the father of Muramatsu, Yukimura, and Nobuyuki. Also, basically everyone from Samurai Warriors 4-2 returns, but not everyone is playable. Only in select side battles will you be playing as most of the other characters, if even most at all. While During the main story ones, you can sometimes play as other key characters, such as Saikon and Konoichi, as well as Hanzo. As for the new characters, I honestly don't care for some of them, especially Cha-Cha, who's just a stuck-up cunt bag that never changes during the story. Sasuke is just a whiny kid that makes Hanzo look bad. Hidetada is whatever. Katsuyori is literally a reskin of several characters. If you ever played as Zhao Yun, Sunse, or even Toshie, then you know what to expect. Masayuki was interesting at first, but devolved and became a bit of a hypocrite towards the end. Honestly, it's an okay cast of newcomers, but they're no Kojiro.
Yeah. I'm the best there is and the best there'll ever be.
Yeah. You certainly are strong. You're no victim, no poor innocent. You're not someone I'm compelled to cut down for their own good. I've never met anyone like you. You're the only one who is capable of matching me. The only one worth cutting down. Come on, then. Let's go.
The combat is pretty good. In fact, I enjoyed it here more so than Samurai Warriors 4 2. It's just more fluid and flashy. I don't know if they did anything at all, but yeah, it's great. Given it's a PC port, they allowed for a lot more troops on screen than the console versions, so everything is pure chaos as you rack up 1,000 KOs in less than a minute. It does suck, however, there's not much way in difficulty. Even though I'm playing on normal, the Warriors games usually only make the AI more spongy if you increase the difficulty, so I never play on higher settings. Difficulty should not equal more health and damage for the AI, but instead smarter AI. Why are video games still not evolving past this ancient trope? Oh well. You still have all the Warrior stuff here. Build a Masuo gauge, rage, combos, mounts, gate captains, and counters against officers. It's fast-paced, flashy fun despite the lack of challenge at times outside of officers and certain unit types. Plus, the switching of officers does return, as you can play up to 2 officers in several battles, but not all of them. Some battles you're restricted on who you can play as and bring to battle alongside you. The dual Masuo attack is also returns, so if you have both a full bar, it's time for a more powerful attack. You can freely explore your hometown. As you progress, the town grows with new opportunities and businesses, from shops to a dojo, or even a tea house to help build bonds with other characters. A general store, blacksmith, tea house, dojo, farm field, river to fish, Jiazu statue, or however you pronounce it, warehouse, and a stable. Eventually your home will become more lively with things to do and buy, as well as craft and grow. The shop allows you to buy materials for crafting, gifts, and quests. But it doesn't have everything, just a random assortment. Most of which you can get from just exploring the various locations in game, or by completing tasks for others as rewards. You can also craft medicine here to aid you in battle with healing or temporary stat boosts. The blacksmith is where you can buy new weapons and upgrade them. If you have the materials, you can add skills to your weapons. These will offer increased attack, attack range, attack speed, etc. The tea house is where one can invite any character from the game they know, then talk to them, give them gifts to increase their friendship level so that they can tag along during explorations. Also, by maxing out their friendship level, they in turn can give you gifts, which could be new materials. The dojo allows you to increase any officer's level with overall experience earned from playing the story, as well as gold. If any officer has reached a certain level, you can increase their attacks, Masuo gauge, rage, and more. But you need gold to increase stats, so be sure to hoard all you can by collecting it through objective completion, treasure boxes, and selling materials. The Jiazu statue, however you can pronounce the damn thing, is strange. As you leave an offering at it, then after a single battle, enough time will have passed, so you return to it to collect a reward if you were lucky enough. The better quality of the offering, the better the reward. The thing will in turn into that one ball game where the ball's in the cup and you have to pick the right cup as it switches around, or you must pick the right bag in order to get a better reward. Fishing is my favorite activity in the game, outside of exploration and farming. If you have anything that can be used as bait, you can fish. Each bait equals one fish, if you can even catch one. It's not hard, but the higher quality the bait, the faster the gauge moves, and you need to time it just right to catch something. Also, if the bait is high quality, the fish has a good chance of being high quality too. It's simple fun and I just love it. Anyone you can control can do all these activities, including Yukimura when he's still a kid. Farm field allows you to plant and grow veggies, which are more crafting materials and gifts. If you find seeds, you can plant them here by doing a minigame where you have to pull a Yakuza on the field with a hoe. After a single battle, the plants will grow. The better the seed and planting by getting a shorter time, the better the harvest will be in turn. Warehouse is where you just rewatch cinematics and visual novel scenes, listen to the soundtrack, and read up on the lore of the world. As you learn more of the world, you get more stuff for the vault. Stable is where you buy new mounts. Early on, you only have one horse and it's a bad one. It'll get the job done, but it's not that effective as the later mounts. Just have the gold and it's shop till you drop. The faster ones are always best in any Warriors game for obvious reasons, especially when you go exploring. In this game, you'll want one that can zoom around and collect materials with ease. Speaking of exploration, it's time to cover this game's unique new feature. In Spirit of Sanada, you can now freely explore sectioned off areas of various environments. This is a good way to gather materials for whatever you may need, but also events can occur with enemy faction ambushes, bandits, rescuing your people, bears, and more. It's a simple new addition that is superior to the trash Dynasty Warriors 9 open world. I mean, it's proof you don't need an open world. Collecting materials and fighting bandits can work in a closed off sectioned environment. Plus, with it being sectioned off, the performance and load times are so smooth I barely notice the loading screens. Just play Spirit of Sanada instead of the trash DW9 if you want some exploration in your Warriors game. It's just a superior version, and a whole lot of fun. Plus, this game did come out first, in 2016. Holy crap, this is from 2016?
Yukimura-sama? ってどうかしました?
The music is phenomenal. Samurai Warriors 4 had a decent selection, but this game just adds so much more. In fact, I've been using it during this review, since I was able to find it. Thanks to KHinsider.com for being a great source of video game soundtracks. The AI is aggressive at times, but usually only if you let them be. Or if you're facing officers, otherwise the normal soldiers are pretty stupid and barely pose a risk. Unless it's the cavalry or spear unit, these guys can charge and knock you around dealing good damage. I just wish there was more modes. Where's the free mode? I want to play as everyone from the series up to this point. I want to play the other battles, but instead it's just a Sanada campaign with a few options. Sometimes there's side battles about other characters, and it's a breath of fresh air to play as someone else after several hours, but outside of those side battles, You cannot play as other characters unless the game lets you. I also wish you could hunt. You cannot run around and kill deer and stuff. So it's got fishing and exploration but not hunting. That does suck, but it's not a deal breaker. I'm just someone who likes to do those types of outdoor activities. And that's about it. I can't really think of anything else to include in the other section. So let's go ahead and end this review with the score then.
Bruh.
At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors Spirit of Sanada is a good game. While nothing great, as it's lacking in features or content, it's still a game worth checking out. Had it featured more modes, English dub, and gotten rid of the visual novel storytelling in favor of actual cutscenes and stuff to do, it could have been even better. But for what it is, Spirit of Sanada is a good game to go out on with the 4th entry up to Samurai Warriors. It's clear at this point Omega Force was nailing down the formula for a good Samurai Warriors game since the 2nd title. Sadly though, the next entry would fall short of living up to those expectations with Samurai Warriors 5, another game I've already covered. Whatever lies in the future for this series, it's brighter however than Dynasty Warriors after Dynasty Warriors 8 and 9. Anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. Man, to think I only have one more Samurai Warriors game to review after this. Anyways, Samurai Warriors 4 Empires is the last expansion to Samurai Warriors 4. At least till yet another rendition of the game came out called DX in the West via Steam this year. So now we have Samurai Warriors 4, 4-2, Spirit of Sanada, Empires, and DX. Since DX is just the base game with all the DLC, I'll skip the original base game in favor of it. But for now, let's talk about Empires and if it's actually worth playing, especially since you can only play it on PS3, PS4, and PS Vita. Yep, Omega Force has yet to still port this game to PC. Probably going to be yet another shadow drop in the coming years. We'll start out with Officer Edit mode, where we can make all kinds of characters with a limited asset library. Yeah, this game is lacking in comparison to Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, which came out before this one, so there's no excuse for the lack of outfits and facial hair, especially which made it hard to make several YouTubers and streamers. I did make Charlie, Asmund, Muda, Max, Scott, John, Angry Joe, and more though.
自慢といえば金魚たちかな。戦の疲れを癒してくれるぞ。
小鳥を飼っております。チチチッと鳴く姿が愛おしくて。
After making an officer, you can choose from several movesets. You got generic movesets, but plenty of unique. Pick whatever you want to use for this officer, and unlike DW80, you cannot use a secondary weapon. What a downgrade. So get used to using the same exact moveset over and over and over and over and over and over again. Yeah, that won't get old.
I'm sensing a little sarcasm.
After that, you pick your stat orientation. This determines your default stats and gives you 2 unique directives, I think they're called, or something like that. Anyways, let's cover the combat.
天下への道筋は見えている。始めるぞ。
Samurai Warriors 4 had pretty fast-paced combat. In fact, Empires keeps that momentum, which isn't always the case, as Empires tended to be smaller and slower. For example, in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5 Empires, there's less troops and officers in every battle. So you wouldn't get tons of KOs unless you worked harder and fought a larger army. But here, the amount of soldiers is kind of on par with the base game, but also not really. That's always a thing with Empires, is there's less officers and soldiers on every battlefield. It always irked me as a bad design decision. It's not like the games can't handle a ton of things on screen. The combat is fast, but also smooth and fluid. Using the dash attack with triangle, slaughtering everything in front of me, never gets old as I feel like a badass. That's the appeal of the Warriors games. Power fantasy. With Empires, it's power fantasy with your own characters. So get out there and slaughter foes with Moist Critical, some Ordinary Gamers, Asmongold, Emeru, Brutal Moose, Scott the Waz, Jontron, Maximilian Dude, and more. Every moveset feels good to play with. This used to not be the case, as certain characters were a chore and a total bore, like Akuni, Oichi, any tank guys like Honda Civic and Keiji. I hated using these guys, but now everything is more fluid and worth using. Masuo is so much better here than in previous Samurai Warriors games, though because it's a PlayStation 3 game, there's not that many troops on screen. Plus, if you, other officers, and your troops are around, they eat up the screen space, not allowing enemies to appear. This makes taking over bases together less desirable, as it means less enemies to fight, and base taking takes longer in turn. But Masuo attacks are fun, though I do wish they were faster. I don't care for the camera zoom in with the officers talking before their final attack. It just drags things on, and I don't use Masuo that often because of it. While the bow is still missing, thank God, horses are still around, and we can even call them, thank God. But movement and combat is still not that enjoyable. But in comparison to Samurai Warriors 3, it's so much better. You're not as enjoyable as Dynasty Warriors 8. This game came out after DW8E and doesn't yet feature the fluidity of better horse combat, which sucks.
先の戦、お前と競い合えてよかったぜ。で、思ったんだ。お前には負けらんないってな。拙者も同様に思っておった。次はどうなるかわからぬが、負け抜きでいくぞ。
If you build relationships with officers, let alone set your custom officer to have a parent during officer edit, you can switch to that friend/family member during combat. Even if you're not friends with everyone, if one of your officers is friends with several others during battle, you can switch to them as well. This means as long as your army consists of those with bonds, you can freely switch during battles. This helps keep the game from getting boring during long plays. I mean, this playthrough for this review did take roughly 6 hours, basically in the end. Plus, I did start out with a ton of territories already, and officers, so imagine just how long it will take you during different playthroughs. It adds up, and being able to swap to other characters during battles really helps keep things from getting stale. Just using different movesets with everyone, seeing their Musou attacks and hearing a different voice is a nice addition that I wish Dynasty Warriors incorporated. Oh well, let's jump into Empire mode and explain its many features. Oh, did you think we were even close to being done? Nah, my reviews are getting larger and larger. Sorry, not sorry. There's only 2 game modes in SW4E. These are literally the same thing. They just took Empire mode and broke it off into 2 to make it look like there's more value than there really is.
Great deal.
Conquest mode is just a scenario separated. Genesis mode is the gathering of heroes from Dynasty Warriors Empire's games. So we'll just cover Genesis mode, given it's just the same thing, except we have more control over things like setting difficulty, data import, officer deaths, custom officers appearing, and if you want to be more historically accurate. Yeah, this option got Kotaku triggered back in the day. Can you guess why?
Based.
After that, we can set who owns what territory and whether or not they're a part of the same clan, giving more power to certain ones. After this, we begin the game as whoever we want to play as. Sadly though, unlike previous Empire games for Dynasty Warriors, you cannot be anything but a ruler. So they removed vagabonds and being an officer for an AI ruler. So yeah, get used to hearing me bitch about all the downgrades this game has to offer. Once you begin, you need to select a strategist, then pick up to 2 officers for the other sections of your clan's affairs, like personnel, military, and development, with more unlocking as you upgrade your castle and pick certain options to unlock new rooms and bonuses. More on that later. Every time you start or when you conquer a territory, your strategist will ask you to pick a territory to target. This does nothing but give you a determined territory to attack. Your army will not go after it, unlike in DW8E or DW70. So no raids or anything. Yeah, they removed raids in this game. Yet another feature from older games missing. Shocker.
年貢を測る5升マスを作っていた。普通より少し小さいのは民に回す米を増やすためだ。
熱い殿様だ。いえ、素晴らしいお考えだと思います。
While Dynasty Warriors has policies, Samurai Warriors has directives. And they are what you'd expect if you ever played any Empire games before. You can do things like increase relations with officers, get new formations, increase commerce and rice yield, form alliances, and more. Though sadly, one thing I always hated about Empire's games is there's only ever one ending. You must kill and conquer all territories and clans/kingdoms.
誠にありがたい。そなたらと戦わずに済むだけでだいぶ楽になる。他の国のやつらビビってんぜきっと。だって俺らが組んじまうんだもんな。
では 同盟の証としてそれぞれに我が家に伝わる武装品を献上しよう。
So forming alliances and trade always felt pointless and stupid to me. There should have been more options like a trade ending, an alliance ending, where you can have a more peaceful way to win the games. Just a suggestion, but whatever.
「退屈で仕方ないわ。何か面白いことやってちょうだい。」
共感できるな。採用だ。目安箱を設置した甲斐があった。
You can customize your castle by choosing the banner, which comes with stat bonuses like rice yield, troop strength, commerce, strategy, and more. So even if you like a certain banner, you will be punished if you choose one you like for cosmetic reasons only, as you will get a bonus or none at all depending on which one you chose. I hate this idea. A cosmetic should never act this way. Also, you can change the wallpaper of your castle, which thankfully doesn't do anything other than look different. Thank God.
築き上げましたね。大勢力。ここまでは俺の読み通り。では、ここからは？
ここまで来れば覆されることもあるまい。着実に目標達成を目指す。
After you gain enough fame and have the gold, you can upgrade your castle, which gives you several options in a branching tree. Depending on which you select will limit your future upgrades, so pick wisely, as you cannot change things once chosen.
「じゃあ組に分かれて区画の不審を担当してよ。一番遅かった組は切っちゃってもいい？」
いにしえ木牛流馬を作った諸葛孔明の潜みに倣って今孔明は作業用の木人を大量に作っちゃおうかな。
These will range from access to the shop to upgrade weapons, buy horses, and buy/sell supplies, to unlocking a tea room for bonding officers and more. I chose poorly and got the shop and tea room instead of the better options like a dojo.
「城が広くなった分、人に感激が生まれた気がする。みんなその辺意識低くない？
でも大きくなった分隠れて昼寝しやすくなったよ。これってとってもいいことじゃない？
You can build relationships over time. Sadly though, it's too difficult in this game to build relationships in comparison to other Empires games.
Explain yourself.
To build relationships, you need to continuously accept the proposals for directives on top of fight several battles together, several dozen battles, mind you, then finally use up a directive turn on the fraternize action. It adds up and becomes tiresome. I just wanted to get some friends, get married, have a kid, a sworn ally, a rival, a nemesis, and a protege.
Is that all?
Yet, I never got any of that. Mostly my fellow officers did instead. I only got one friend, who was my strategist Hanbai.
O前のような家臣がいてこそ私の希望も生きる。これからもよろしく頼む。
そんなに褒められちゃまだまだ昼寝暮らしは遠そうですね。ま、やってみますか。
Instead, my other officers were bonding left and right.
お前か。もっと語り合いたいと思っていたんだ。
自分ごときに注目してくれていたとはありがたきことよ。
They were even making rivals and nemesises. Nemesi? Whatever. They were making rivalries and sworn enemies.
やはり見事よ。お主のことを好敵手と呼ばせてもらいたい。
ああ、これからもこの関係の厚さ壊したくないよな。俺も負けないよう精進する。お前も頼むな。
Even after over 5 hours of a single playthrough, I never got a spouse. Even though I did interact and battle alongside several female officers, I was hoping to either get No, Akuni, Ina, or a custom female officer, but never did. Also, there's no same-sex marriage in this game, so no femboy harem.
Why? Why?
Every battle costs a lot of gold and supplies, depending on how many officers you bring with you and if there's any reinforcements set up. Your supplies are used for time. If you bring a lot with you, you'll get more time to win the battle. But if you don't bring a lot, this will make battles a bum rush for the main camp situation. Otherwise, you're in for a treat of losing any battle once the timer reaches 0. Even if you're winning, it doesn't matter. The timer says you lose.
You get nothing! You lose!
If you bring more troops than the enemy, before every battle there's a gauge that fills up to showcase soldier count. If yours is higher than the enemy's, you get a bonus in weakening the enemy bases. This makes the battles easier for you. But if the enemy has more troops, the effect backfires onto your bases.
Oh, my favorite!
You also have formations, a unique system for Samurai Warriors Empires games. These will determine a stat bonus for your army, like making everyone move faster, have higher attack, defense, and regeneration of their health over time. They only last for a set amount of time, and if the enemy has a formation that gives them the advantage, you lose your bonus. There's also battlefield tactics to give yourself more advantages. Much like in Dynasty Warriors Empires games, this gives you things like cavalry units, sumo, sages, ninjas, archer volleys, cannon volleys, and more. So even if the enemy has the advantage in troop count, you can turn the tides of war with ninja ambushes attacking their bases all over the battlefield, creating distress. Unlike Dynasty Warriors Empires games, you can set where each officer is placed before battle. Every square on the map can host a single officer, so place people where you want them to begin. This doesn't really affect things, but is a nice thing to have, much like issuing individual commands. So if a base is in danger, especially your main camp, you can tell your people to go to it. So if Charlie, for example, is close by, issue a command for him to protect the main camp from falling, otherwise you lose the battle. You can also tell officers to attack or defend bases, and even follow certain officers, including yourself. Sadly, unlike other Empires games, you cannot select much in the way of music, as it's mostly only Samurai Warriors 4 and Empires tracks. There's no Spear of Sanada, 4-2, Samurai Warriors 1, 2, or 3 music available. So the selection is very limited with repeated tracks playing in most battles. This does get old after a while, and there's zero excuses for not having more options.
Preach it, honey.
Invasion battles are all about taking over the enemy main camp or taking out their commander if their ruler appears. Meanwhile, defensive battles has you doing the same or waiting out the timer, all while protecting your main camp in all types of battles. There's no more raids or special missions. You can't slay troublesome wolves, protect a merchant from bandits, or assassinate an officer during a stealth mission at night. Those types of things were only in DW70 and DW80.
Wow, so sad.
Really sad.
After every battle, everyone participating gains experience. That's all there is to it in this game. You don't get items or anything, as Samurai Warriors 4 Empires decided to remove items to increase stats or to give you elemental attacks. After battles, you can hire those you've captured, though they will not always accept, and you can choose to let officers go or execute them. I'm not a monster, so those I didn't want or wouldn't accept were set free. This is a good way to get more officers, but there's a hard limit of 100 in this game, so be careful as you hire more and more. It will become costly and eventually eat up space.
Wow, ここまで国広げちゃうなんておみそれしました。
ここで満足してはそれまでだ。さらなる高みを目指していくぞ。
Your goal is to conquer every territory of the land. You cannot form alliances and lead to a peaceful ending. No, you must kill all factions off and wipe them out of the history books. This does add up, as you need to position your officers next to a territory to invade them. Only officers connected to that territory can participate in battle. This is an issue I have with several Empires games, having to micromanage where every single officer is just to use certain ones in battle. This shouldn't be a thing, and thankfully some Empire games doesn't feature this. But this game does, and I absolutely hate it. So if you want to battle with certain officers, building their bonds and using one with more troops and higher stats, then get ready to micromanage each individual territory for each individual invasion. Also, if there's not many or any officers in a territory that gets attacked, you're in for hell. This is just a stupid and inexcusable system featured in older Empires games like DW4E, DW5E, and sadly DW9E. While I have a lot of negative things to say about Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, and I did in my review of it back in February, it did come with the best edit mode, so many options for outfit pieces and facial hairs, plus it introduced troop edit, where we can make our own soldiers to use, horse edit to give our kingdom their own mounts, which even the cavalry units would use, banner edit to give ourselves a unique flag, then finally a scenario edit to make our own scenarios instead of playing the same thing over and over again. We could make so much, and it was never brought back to date in any newer Empires games.
Wow, so many options.
This game doesn't even let you make your own clans/kingdoms. We cannot make anything besides a few dozen officers with a tiny amount of outfits and accessories. This will lead to everyone eventually looking the same at some point. Even with DLC, we don't have any real options.
It's awful.
Usually every Empire's game we had every single game soundtrack available to use in battle and during other moments in game. Sadly, we don't have that option in Samurai Warriors 4 Empires. All the music is just from SW4 and nothing else. This means you will not have access to SW1, 2, or 3 and their expansions. This sucks because this limits how many tracks you will have to listen to in game, especially during battles, as now you'll hear the same song over and over and over again. This made battles feel more repetitive, yet the music itself is really good, just lacking in quantity department. I never really had any performance issues outside of some very large battles. Then I saw some slowdown like the classic PlayStation 2 games. Otherwise, I never had long load times, stuttering, and crashes, but graphically the game was clearly downgraded to work on this ancient console. And yes, the PlayStation 3 is ancient, folks. The thing is 18 years old now. So there's a lot of pop-in, pixelation, and flickering of various graphics. You can see this in cutscenes, especially with water and whatnot. The edges of trees and bamboo are not exactly smooth.
泣かぬなら仕方がないなホトトギス。潔く諦めよう。
泣かぬならじっと見つめるホトトギス。期待込めてじっと見つめてやるんだ。
It does suck there's no English dub, though I hated Samurai Warriors 3's dub. At least giving us an option for English and Japanese would have been a nice addition. No English will scare off potential players because many don't want to read subtitles. There are those who just want to hear their language through these characters so they can pay attention to the action on screen and not just look at text all day.
Can I get an amen?
While Dynasty Warriors Empires was lacking in cutscenes and most of them just sucked, this game decided to focus on quantity over quality, unlike Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires. The cutscenes, if you can even call them that, are just lazy visual novel moments that mostly have text to describe everything and robotic stiff animations for the characters. They barely move and the scenes feel really soulless. I like the idea of including so many scenes, but it's quantity over quality. I'll give you a short comparison of Dynasty Warriors 7 Empires versus Samurai Warriors 4 Empires cutscenes, just so you can understand the quality difference.
よう戻ってきたな。こっちだ。大した活躍だったな。おかげで俺も楽できたぜ。あんたの戦は見ていて面白いしな。次も期待してるぜ。
俺はこの状況を打開できるのか。
自分もできる限りの力を尽くそう。だから共に前を向こう。
いやー、待った待った。退屈で死にそうだったぜ。
だが近くこの大陸の勢力図は大きく動くことになろう。
乱世平定の秘策、すでに我が胸中にあり、今こそ飛躍の時だ。
うわー、ここまで国広げちゃうなんておみそれしました。
ここで満足してはそれまでだ。さらなる高みを目指していくぞ。
茶は気持ちを入れて立てるのか。よし、入った。さあどうぞ。
戦いの日々に安らぎをくれたことを感謝する。いい手前だった。
There's not much else to talk about. At least the game does feature 2-player local play, so before battle, second player can press start and join in. We've covered everything else like music, lack of dub, and more. Well, this video is already long enough. Let's just get this video over with, shall we?
It's been 84 years.
At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors 4 Empires is just an average game. It does have a lot of problems, but it's playable and offers some decent fun. I just wish a few issues would have been addressed in a patch, or for things to be less of a hassle. I did have fun, most of the time.
We're all
I did prefer this game to the likes of Dynasty Warriors 6 Empires and 4 Empires, but when compared to Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8 Empires, this game falls short in terms of meaningful moments, music options, edit modes, and more.
Oh, really?
Samurai Warriors 4 Empires is a game well worth playing, just be ready for a few hiccups in performance and lacking in ways to play. Eventually I'll tackle Dynasty Warriors 7, Empires, and Samurai Warriors 4 DX. Till then, anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
Hinomotoがついに我らの手で一つに。
俺の熱い舞見ていてください。
日の本一の前に日の本一の禅の数々、夢の中にいるようだ。
まったくいい顔してる。全てを成し遂げた英雄の顔だ。本当についてきてよかった。
太平の世導いたり。
It's finally time to review the last Samurai Warriors game, that being Samurai Warriors 4 DX, a PlayStation 4 game ported to PC back in May. It's also one of their best ports to date. This game is a next-gen version of Samurai Warriors 4, released back in 2014 to celebrate the series' 10th anniversary. It also has all the DLC, hence why it's called DX. So given this game has been around for a long time, it must have not aged well, right? Surprisingly, it's actually quite good. Though, there is some faults that I will be sure to cover. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about how it's been almost 1 year since I first started this journey. I never thought I would make it this far. I never saw myself covering every major Samurai Warriors game, but here we are, with the very last game, and it feels so good to be done with it all. So yeah, let's jump into this review already, as I have a lot to talk about. Honestly, don't like making my reviews so long, as they completely flop on my channel. In this game, you have 12 new characters to play with. I won't be covering them all because they mostly all suck. I have zero interest in most of them. All I will say is I hate Hisari Matsunaga. This guy is literally just, we have Majima Goro at home. Then there's the female foot ninja warrior girl. Yeah, it's hard to describe this chick. Basically, she uses her feet to fight. Now calm down, you horn dogs. She's basically an anime as fuck chick in skimpy samurai armor. She also has booby physics. 'Cause science. She clashes with one of my favorite girls from Samurai Warriors 3 during one of the story scenarios.
こりゃかみさんの実家もぼちぼち危ねえかな。
父上、今川家のいい直虎殿が出迎えに参られたようです。
いい直虎。いい男っぽい名前。
いい直虎です。
女かい。
すみません。なんかすみません。
Kai doesn't like her, and I'm in agreement. She's always so scared and apologizing. She's not that enjoyable, but I can see the Rule 34 potential. I can see the reason to marry her in the Empire's game. That is, if you can even figure out how to actually build relationships in that game. I can't for some reason.
バカ。我が輩は決めた。我が輩は我が輩の運命を奪い返す。
The last character I feel like is just okay is Yukimura's brother, Nobuyuki, who's more calm and collective. He's more of the brains while Yukimura is always the hot-headed warrior. While at first these brothers work together, eventually it'll lead to their brotherly bonds being tested towards the end of the story.
だが私には親方様のように弟の死を乗り越え進むことはできない。頼む。知らないでくれ、雪村。花が散り、残された幹はただただ寂しい。兄上。
One of the things that makes it harder to go back to the older Warriors games is the very slow and clunky combat of old. The lock-on combat that felt like a slightly less tankish Resident Evil 1 knife. Plus, movement speed that was that of a boomer congressman. So to go from Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires to Samurai Warriors 3 and finally Samurai Warriors 4 Empires and DX, I found myself actually having fun. Then again, I blame the bad combat of SW3 on the Nintendo Wii. It should have been a PlayStation 3 exclusive at worst, not a Wii exclusive. But Tech McCoy has a track record of bad decisions. Looking at you, Dynasty Warriors 9.
I'm in danger!
Combat has never been this good in a Samurai Warriors game. It's very fast-paced, very smooth, and tons of fun to play with, especially once you level up and unlock new combos. I actually liked playing as every character. No one felt god-awful to play as. Minus some characters with slow movement speeds, of course, but that can be remedied with your dash attack. Of course, you have your Masuo attack, but unlike Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, you only have one option. Meanwhile, in Dynasty Warriors, you had a ground Masuo and air Masuo attack. They're fine as is, but I hate how time-consuming the attacks are. I mean, why do we have two separate attacks? You got your first attack, then the camera changes, your character speaks, then they go in for the final blow. I hated this. I just want to attack and keep going. Quit breaking the flow of the combat, damn it. If your spirit gauge is full, you can unleash it, then use your Masuo attack for an ultimate Masuo. This changes your animation and has a different area of effect with increased damage output. Then again, some of these appear to be Samurai Warriors 3 Masuo attacks reused, like for Hanbai. If you and your other playable officer you selected have maxed out Masuo gauges, you can unleash a dual Masuo attack. Nothing is different about them, you just get a different camera effect and maybe some increased damage, but that's about it. course, the horse combat still sucks, but at least the horse can move a bit faster than in Samurai Warriors 3. That was just a slog. But here, you can get hold of many different horses and some are given at the start. These ones are best in different stats, but the only use I see for horses in these games is to get around the battlefield quicker. As such, I don't care if they do more damage with their charge attack or not. I just want to get around as fast as possible to ensure all objectives are completed and I can beat each battle within a short amount of time. Horses are not as fluid as Dynasty Warriors 8, but they're more doable than in any other incarnation of Warriors games at that point. A feature that helps make battles a little bit less repetitive, and I mean only by a little bit, is officer switching. When you start a battle, you can select who you will play as and the other officer to swap to. Depending on who you select will trigger certain battle events and maybe even exclusive cutscenes. But those are just lazy visual novel stuff with more stiff animations than Starfield. Something only Empire's games has had for several installments now was introduced in Samurai Warriors 4, since you can switch between two officers now. So you can give the AI controlled one orders, so they can go and defeat certain officers, complete objectives, defend the commander, or hold up in a certain spot, let alone follow you around. This is a great addition to keep things from getting too stale, on top of switching between the two selected officers. There's also a unique attack to Samurai Warriors. It's an opening attack where if you see the triangle button or Y button if you're on Xbox or PC, allows you to go in for a fatal blow or deal massive damage to officers. Thank God there's still no bow in the game. I hated it in previous games, and even in Dynasty Warriors. The only reason to use it was to get officers off their horses, attack archers on walls or towers, or to cheap shot the enemy officers with ranged attacks, to not get so easily killed yourself like when dealing with Lu Bu.
勝頼様はご無事だろうか。
はい、きっと。
織田信長。
なぜ
うぬらは何を望む？変わり続ける世に何を残す？
was Chinese.
Given this game was originally made to celebrate Samurai Warriors' 10th anniversary, you'd think they'd go all out, right? Well, unlike Dynasty Warriors and its anniversary, they did go all out, at least in theory. Instead of giving us individual story modes, we now only have faction stories, of a grand total of 13 scenarios to play through. Only being able to select from a small selection of officers per battle. Get used to play as officers you don't like, or full on hate. Cause that's the style of this game is going for.
Now, this really pisses me off to no end.
I only completed 3 of the 13 scenarios cause I got bored rather quickly. I don't like this game style of storytelling. You wanna know why?
Why?
Just like my complaints with Empires, the base game has a ton of lazy visual novel storytelling cut scenes. They're boring, stiff, lifeless, soulless, and just plain forgettable. In fact, if I didn't record most of these, I wouldn't be able to tell you of a single scene from the game that was memorable. Unlike Samurai Warriors 1, 2, and 3, where they used pre-rendered and in-game storytelling cutscenes with actual movement and camera angles, you don't get those in this game, unless it's for a brief moment. Like they were just trying to not use up their entire budget on these few brief pre-rendered cutscenes that really stand out in comparison to the lazy visual novel shit.
No man can have everything he wants.
Sadly, all battles are linear. You'll play them the same every single time you play the game, even in free battle. What's the point of free battle if it's not a free battle?
Makes sense.
Going through the same exact linear corridor of level designed battlefields, fighting the same exact officers, doing the same exact objectives, there's no player freedom, unlike in older Warriors games. This was all gutted in Dynasty Warriors 5 onwards.
Preach it, honey.
One of the worst things about this game is the non-stop pop-up objectives. While I'm sure you could turn it off in the settings, we should not have to toggle off a bad mechanic to a game. It should just be good right out of the box. Why do I have to turn it off to make it less annoying? Just don't add it in the first place. So yeah, because of this style of game, you will never really get to use your favorite officers in Musuo mode. In fact, several don't even appear as playable officers, or even just as an in-game NPC. Pure laziness and restrictions, I cannot stand.
さて、この戦、最も功ありし者は誰か。秀吉。
I know you told your friend you're not okay.
Free mode is back and lets you play any battles you've unlocked with any unlocked characters. This includes your created characters, unless they're used in Chronicles mode, of course. Otherwise, it's just Musuo mode with freedom of character selection. There's no appeal whatsoever since you cannot choose the other side in these battles. You can only play as the predetermined faction.
You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. There it is.
At least, unlike Dynasty Warriors for the PSP, you do keep your progression, so this is a way to grind other characters in certain stages, yet you can easily gain levels in their respective Musuo modes anyways, especially with unique items I use during my playthroughs, which makes free mode all the more pointless. There's only 3 modes to play in this game, one of which is good, the other is pointless, but at least it's there for those that want it. And finally, the horribly boring snooze fest that is Chronicle mode. Yep, there is a mode where you play as your own created character of choice and then just play tiny battles with other officers. That's it. That's the entire mode. It's stupid and pointless, except it's also the only way to get any of the biographies for characters, so if you want to see the history of each character in a real life counterpart, you can't. You have to play through Chronicle mode with those officers and befriend them over the course of several battles, and I mean several battles, just to get a tiny paragraph about each officer put into the BIOS section of the dojo in the main menu, which is the other section where you can make your own characters, change settings, and view cutscenes again.
It's awful.
I honestly have nothing positive to say about Chronicle mode. You could tell it was just tacked on here for an illusion of added value so they can sell this game to you. It's a boring experience that I played less than 15 minutes of just because it was that god awful. And when you make something someone refuses to play through the entire thing for, you know you failed as a developer and should just give up.
Based.
So yeah, let's cover the very last part of this game. Officer Edit allows you to make some custom characters, but not really, as the assets available are lackluster and not that good. So good luck making anyone from your favorite TV show, movie, video game, anime, real life, etc. It's a mediocre, lackluster character creator at best, and feels like something from a PlayStation 2 game instead of a PlayStation 4 game ported to PC. There are zero excuses here. Hell, it's even worse in the Empire's game, as some of these assets are not even available. But then again, it might be because that was the PS3 version. Oh well, who cares? I tried my best to make myself Charlie, Muda, Zack, and a female, cause we don't want a sausage party, mainly because that was one of the worst movies I tried to watch and stopped only 15 minutes into the film.
Yeah, this is good. What the fuck? Oh my god. What the heck? Who the fuck was this for? They forgot. Maybe it's undecided because the developers haven't figured it out. What the fuck? Absolutely. Yep.
After you make whatever you were trying to make but failed to do so cause this editor fucking sucks, you then can pick from one of 5 generic weapons to use. Yep, you cannot use any unique officer weapons in this game, at least not yet. Even after completing 3 scenarios in Musuo mode, I still didn't unlock any weapons or assets for created characters. So that tells me all I need to know. There's no way to do so after all. Unless that means I have to befriend them in Chronicles mode, then fuck that shit.
Garbage!
The last part of character creation is selecting your growth type. This will determine your starting point for each stat and how they will grow over time. So pick wisely, as you will regret not making your character move fast and deal damage at the same time. Trust me.
強はね、守りを固めて反撃の機を伺え。
父上、天守の門は私が守り抜きますぞ。
I'm moving a little slower than usual today.
So let's dive into the other section now and cover things like the PC port, starting out with which console version this game is based on.
Oh, goody goody!
While Samurai Warriors 4-2 was a PS3 game ported to PC many years ago, this one is based on the PlayStation 4 version of Samurai Warriors 4. This comes with all the DLC, and while it's okay looking today, back then it was a nicer looking game. It's sad how quickly video games aged like cottage cheese in the hot Arizona desert sun, since we went full 3D in the 90s. Yet overall, it's an okay looking game, with not many problems with the port.
It's a miracle! A Thanksgiving miracle!
Which is weird given Tecmo Koei's horrible track record with PC ports. While some are okay and most are terrible, like bad button layouts, last gen console ports, or technical hiccups galore.
What do, Grimy?
But thankfully, so far, this game has no real issues during my playthrough of several story modes and exploring everything else. So yes, one of the worst things about PC ports for Dynasty Warriors' many spin-offs was the button layout. That was not repeated for once. We can actually switch in the settings menu if we want to confirm with the B button or circle button instead of the A button or X button. By default, it is the A button, thank God.
Hallelujah!
This brings me to the last thing about the PC port, that being a very important part of any game.
Tell us, tell us, tell us, tell us!
Okay, Jesus. Not you.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
So yeah, the PC port plays just fine. Even though I don't have a high-end PC, I never once had any slowdown, stuttering, long load times, or crash to desktop like you get when you play anything by Bethesda.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
So even if you don't have a gaming PC, you can easily run this game. There's a good amount of graphical options too to make it more playable on most computers, so thankfully this PC port is pretty solid. Wait, who are you and what did you do to Tecmo Koei? Of course, we have to talk about the music.
Ah boy, here we go.
If you like rock, metal, techno, let alone traditional music, why not combine them for a very unique soundtrack to make you feel various emotions depending on the scenario on screen. Honestly, I feel like Samurai Warriors 2 and 4 have the best music in the series and can easily compete with the likes of Dynasty Warriors 4 and 7 respectively. One of the major cons to this game is the lack of an English dub. So yeah, hope you can read subtitles while slaughtering hordes of enemies, let alone are a weeb and know Japanese, let alone are Japanese.
Yeah, Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these. Hey, what do you say we get some of them burritos?
At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors 4 DX is a decent game. While lacking in some areas, I still had fun. Had it have a decent English dub, actual choice of which faction to side with in free mode, had they made Chronicle mode something worth playing and not a snorefest, and of course, had there been more focus on characters instead of factions, I'd probably have given it a higher rating. But for what it is, Samurai Warriors 4 DX is a game worth playing. However, it's not the best entry, as I still feel Samurai Warriors 2 was the best out of all the base games for Samurai Warriors. Out of all versions of SW4 to play, this is the best choice. Samurai Warriors 4 itself was lackluster from what I have seen, and 4.2 was just complete garbage. However, I still prefer Empires over every other expansion and alternative version of the base game. I just prefer to have more control, more strategy, and more personalization. Well, that does it, folks. I've officially reviewed every single major Samurai Warriors game and their expansions, after almost 1 year starting in November 2023. I've been at it just trying to get to each one as I could. It was one hell of a journey, but one I have no regrets from. Unlike every fishing game for the PlayStation 1 where most of the games were garbage,
You ain't lying.
here, that wasn't the case. Samurai Warriors has more good than bad games, which isn't something every franchise can say. Look at Resident Evil, Call of Duty, Dead Rising, Dynasty Warriors, South Park, Postal, and more. They all have more bad games than good, so let that help set in stone. Samurai Warriors has better developers that actually try and know what they're doing.
Oh, really?
Soon, a compilation for Samurai Warriors 4 will appear on my channel, and in the future, the complete compilation of every Samurai Warriors game. Till then, anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later. Samurai Warriors has a rough history of mid to bad games. Barely anything good in comparison to Dynasty, which in of itself has many hardships, but not as often as Samurai. Today, we're looking at what is essentially a reboot for Samurai Warriors, removing many characters, modes, features, and battles. But is this really for the better? What does Samurai Warriors 5 bring to excuse the removal of so much stuff built over 16 years? Well, let's jump into the review and find out. To start, the story was gutted to only focus on Nobunaga Oda and Mitsuhide Akechi. So the story ends after the betrayal at Hononji. Majority of characters are just side characters, akin to Dynasty Warriors 6. This means you'll only play as them if you choose to in Citadel mode. There's only a few chapters and battles, making the game incredibly short. Even the DLC doesn't expand things like one would hope for. Heck, they never even made an Extreme Legends expansion to bring back more characters and add more to the story. They never even did a Empires expansion either for this game. So you spend about 2 to 3 hours of playing as Mitsuhide and Oda, with a few where you get to play some of the others, but mostly only the 2 poster boys. Then the game is over. There's no reward for beating the game either. So what else can you do besides play story mode? Well, you got Citadel mode for one, which replaced survival from previous games. To which I'm glad, because this is actually way better.
よもやこれほどとは。諦めるのか？諦めると思うか？そうだ。お前もうつけだったな。やるか？あ？
In this mode, you have to defend gates from hordes of enemies. Waves upon waves of enemies, more stronger than the last, will storm your defenses. You team up with another officer of your choice, alongside who you choose. Depending on which officer you select, you may notice a bar above them. This is their bond meter. Max it out and earn more cutscenes with them interacting with each other. The AI does a good job at holding down the fort. While you play as the other character, you can switch on the fly and command them, and even use up to 3 types of troops to aid you in battle. They can range from archers to cavalry to even monks and ninjas. Each level varies in rewards, difficulty, and layouts. So you may only have 1 point to defend, or several. You may have them near each other, or on the other side of the map. This means you may need to split your forces and try to balance things out to stand a chance to win. Decide where you want those troops, because you can only have 1 of each spawned at once. So if you've already spawned the archers, you can't have more. They just get replaced with a new batch if you spawn them again. This means 1 gate/officer will have less defenses. There's also objectives that pop up during the waves, from protecting officers to peasants and traders, and slaying certain enemies within a time limit with certain attacks. Earn bonuses for completing these, and increasing your overall rank for the battle to get the best rewards. This mode is loads of fun, and if they bring it back, they just need to add more stuff to it. I sunk way more hours into this mode than story mode. The combat is the most fluid to date. Even Dynasty can't compete. With hyper attacks, dash attacks, and weapon switching, this of course means most are clones of each other, akin to Dynasty Warrior 6. This sucks for most, as many lost their iconic weapons. Even Nobunaga doesn't get his demon sword and Masuo attack. But it's not the end of the world. You can swap out weapons and play with things how you want. You got many abilities and items to use in battle too. Earn skill points and unlock new abilities, more item slots, and increase stats. You can easily grind in Citadel mode, so if you need help in story mode, just play an hour of Citadel and you'll be maxing yourself out in no time. Objectives are still a thing, and some you won't get unless you go to a certain spot in the battle at certain times with certain characters. This adds replay value to ace every battle and earn more bonuses like gems, horses, weapons, gold, and materials, to upgrade buildings, to get better stuff, and to train your horses and officers even higher. To upgrade buildings, you need materials, earned in gameplay, mostly in Citadel mode. You can also buy them if you got the money saved up, but that is incredibly expensive. Upgrade the dojo, stable, shop, and blacksmith. Complete sections of Masuo mode to get the next rank to unlock these upgrades. This in turn automatically upgrades your castle, so you can upgrade the other buildings and access more stuff such as weapon crafting and more troop types for Citadel mode.
これは誓いの証だ。男と男のな。 生きろよ光秀。信長殿、どうか達者で。なあ、またな。
There are a smaller cast of characters now. In fact, most of the ones from even Samurai Warriors 1 were scrapped. You got a few newcomers, but they're so generic looking and barely play a large role in the story, you won't even notice them. The only characters that return basically are Nobunaga, Mitsuhide, Ieyasu, Hanbai, No, and Hideyoshi.
Stupid monkey.
Like I said earlier, most are not playable in story mode, at least till you complete the battles. You unlock free mode within Musou mode. By completing battles, then you can now play them again with more freedom. I honestly stick to the usual officers of old, as I'm not fond of the newcomers. Let alone, I can't tell if these are older characters that are just looking like the most generic of newcomers.
He ain't lying.
The other things worth talking about are the art direction and music. Holy cow, this game is beautiful. If only they did this sooner. This game still looks good after being 2 years old. The level design is so detailed and lively. Urban areas feel so lived in and feature small details. The cherry blossoms are lovely. The character redesigns are also great. Though the one jarring thing is, only Nobunaga and Mitsuhide age up to their older selves later on in the story. This does suck, but it's not a deal breaker. Next up is the music. Like usual, it's techno and traditional, a gorgeous blend of two different genres that meld together for emotional and action-packed moments, which brings me to the improved storytelling. I should have mentioned this earlier, but man, does this game just have the best storytelling for a Samurai Warriors game. It's up there with Dynasty Warriors 7, but falls a bit flat with many visual novel scenes, straight out of Samurai Warriors 4 and 4 too. But still, the cutscenes are great, with better character development and depth.
Mitsuhide.
うつけがもう一人。
At the end of the day, I'm finally happy to have played a good base Samurai Warriors game since the second one. I honestly wish they didn't abandon this game. It needed some more content and expansions. Then it would have been a rival towards Dynasty Warriors 7 and its Xtreme Legends and Empires expansions. But still, for what it is, Samurai Warriors 5 is a borderline great game, worth your time, as I recommend it. Get it on sale if you're unsure, and also check the demo. They even have a demo for the PC version I'm playing and reviewing. Like, damn, not often you get a demo anymore, especially a PC one from a Japanese developer. Anyways, that's it. See you next time.